Alright, so now it should be live. I'm so fucking confused by what's happening right now. So am I officially? Yeah, it looks like I'm live now. Okay. So now it should be live. I'm so fucking confused. Alright, welcome to the stream. Where I was just gonna bullshit for a few. Just taking care of some personal life stuff right now. Alright, so what I wanted to do today is something I don't usually do. Sorry, again, just typing. So normally you guys see a lot of just gameplay. I don't do a lot of face cams anymore. I don't like people seeing my ugliness. So, uh, uh, so, I wanted to talk a little bit about some movies because, at the shop, Nerd Out, where I help out a lot. My buddies run it. Shout out to them. It's Nerd Out Boise. Anyways, we started renting movies recently. Uh, so it was we were talking about what kind of movies we would bring in, and then we started talking about what kind of movies we liked, and I started to think it because I do talk a lot about Godzilla and Godzilla movies. So I wanted to talk a bit about movies that I normally don't touch upon, and which is weird to say, because there's a lot of movies that I do talk about. Let's just say, I guess I could make my nah. I was gonna make me bigger, so you guys aren't staring at a black screen, but I'll pull something up here in a few. Um, so I wanted to discuss let's just um, like some generalized movies, maybe some that don't get enough credit for what they're worth. And I'm gonna start with one. I'll bring up a picture so you guys aren't sitting here completely, in the dark. And then maybe I can make it full screen. All right. Uh, oh, so I can just set it. Okay. I'm just messing with stuff right now. Right quick. Screen capture. Window capture. I don't think that will work. Yep. Should be that right there. Let me make it bigger. Okay. So, a movie I wanted to talk about more of today was Return of the Living Dead Part 2. And this is where we're going to start. Hopefully you guys can see the picture okay. So I watched it the other day. I think it was Saturday. I brought it in. I was watching it, and it's. I would say it's a very unappreciated movie. It's not the greatest thing I've ever seen in the world by any means, but it's not the worst thing. Getting like a bunch of spam messages here. Give me a sec. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyways, I wanted to talk about Return of the Living Dead Part 2. It's very underrated. A lot of the ratings online just like bash it and give it complete garbage reviews. And this is a movie where I would say it doesn't deserve all the hate that it gets. Now, I'm talking about, just basically, um, if you haven't seen the first movie, then you should definitely watch it. I prefer the first movie over this, which most people do because they hate this movie. But I think it's good. The acting in it is pretty pretty good. I'm thoroughly impressed by the acting. It's really good. Tom Matthews and the other actor, I forget the guy's name, they come back and reprise their roles kind of. I mean, kind of playing the exact same characters they did in the first movie. Um, which may turn some people off because it's more of the same from the first movie. I know they're a lot whinier in this one, in part two. That is this one, the one I'm talking about. Whatever. Whatever. They're a lot whinier, I will say, in this one, but I dig it. So the premise is a little kid comes across one of the trioxin tanks. It falls off a truck and ends up in the sewers, kind of in like a sewer waterfall where it like flows into an open stream area. I guess that's how you would call it. Weird. So kids stumble across it. These two bully kids, well, and the little boy, they go open it. Two of the three get sick, and then the bully kid ends up turning into a zombie later on in the film. Oh, spoilers. But and if I remember, when it was opened, it creates like this fog, if I'm correct. Yeah, it's like a fog that kind of like awakens all the zombies out of the graves and stuff. And this movie is a lot more comedic. It's a funnier film, and I like that about it. Um, the first one had its comedic elements, but it was more of a punk rock zombie movie, whereas this one's definitely a comedy. It's might as well just straight up be a comedy. Um, but it's pretty. I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's you know it was back to the plot. Let's just so basically zombies start coming out, and then everyone's trying to get out of town. Meet some new characters along the way, and the military. This is where I really like this movie. Is it has the military in it trying to take on these zombies. It's a few quick scenes, but I really like that. I think it's a great idea for Return of the Living Dead. The first two, anyways. The later ones, but for the first two, I was always curious of like, hey, the military, like, what if it was like a full scale army battle? And you kind of get a little bit of that in the first one, but it's more of like the SWAT team and the police brigade, whereas the second one it has a few little military personnel in the town trying to get rid of the zombies. I can't remember if they were lost. I'd have to rewatch it again, and I just watched it, but it's a busy day. So, oh yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago then that I watched this. I digress. So that's pretty much the basic plot. And there's a lot of, you know, funny elements that happen throughout the movie. And I think personally it's great. The effects are pretty good. I would say a lot of the effects, most of them, anyways. Yeah, a lot. let's just be real. A lot of the effects are better than the first movie. The zombies. Oh my god. Like, they won't top Tarman, nothing ever will. But the zombies actually have, they're not just mud splattered on a face or anything. It's legitimate, like, zombie makeup and outfits and stuff. And I really like that. Um, like the old lady zombie that crawls out of the grave and, like, puts her glasses on, that's a subtle, like, joke that I really like in this movie. Um, Another thing, like, the zombies are all coming out of the graves, and this one's like coming out, and like his hand keeps getting stepped on, and then he moves his hand. It was like the second zombie that was about to second or third zombie that was about to step on. He moves his hand, looks around, and then someone steps on his head and pushes him back in the ground. See, that's funny. That's really good. And the effects, like I said, the effects and the makeup are pretty good in this movie. Um, I would recommend, anyone check out Return of the Living Dead Part 2. I think it's a phenomenal film. And, I won't spoil the ending. It's got a little nod to Michael Jackson's Thriller. It's a pretty good nod, man. I really like it. Overall, out of 5, I definitely give it a solid 4. Whereas the original Return of the Living Dead is like a 5 out of 5. That movie's almost flawless. I do have my issues with the original, but I really, really like the original. But this one, it's definitely a 4 out of 5. Whereas like the other Return of the Living Dead movies are 1 out of 5. I could sum up the third one right now with its rating. It would definitely be a 1. Um, Effects in it are pretty decent at times, but all in all, it's just a crappy movie. Whereas like Necropolis is dog shit. I can't even. I think a wife and me tried to watch it, and we couldn't even fucking get through like any of it. It was bad. And then Rave to the Grave is absolute dog shit. That is like one of the worst films I've ever seen. One of the worst films I've ever seen. So check out Return of the Living Dead Part 2 for sure. I think, I think give it a second opinion here. Give it a second chance. You might like it. Um, another thing about it that I forgot to mention. It's like Goonies and Monster Squad meet Return of the Living Dead. That's what this movie is, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. So, um, now let's talk about another movie that I wanted to discuss today. That's getting a lot of crap. Type it in here. I'm sorry about the crude nature of how I'm live streaming this. Like, I just kind of went on, just wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I'm not a professional reviewer by any means, but all right, just give me 1 second. We get like a decent image of it. There we go. No, that is terrible. That is like just awful image. It's fucking like 4 pixels. I'll do this one. That one's a bit better. I'm gonna use the Criterion box set image. Voila! Son of Godzilla. Of course, I'm gonna talk about a Godzilla movie here today. Son of Godzilla is one of those ones where a lot of fans hate it. Me personally, I rate it pretty high. Why? There's so much bad with this movie. It introduced Milla and, all of this bad things in the series, Milla being one of them. The design of Godzilla is terrible, and, just general bad dubbing and acting. Kamakuris and Kumanga are terrible monsters in the Godzilla universe, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think with the Godzilla series, I've always been a huge fan of the monster designs for almost, I would say all of the monsters. They feel very organic. Where you look at Godzilla, it's like, let's say, a giant radioactive lizard. Why wouldn't a giant radioactive praying mantis and a giant radioactive spider work? Or with like I was just right in my head too. But spaced it. Um, well, man, I really forgot what I was gonna say. But I just feel like the a lot of the monsters, if not all of the monsters in the Godzilla series, feel very organic, whereas compared to Gamera, where it's just like, oh, I'm not a Gamera fan by any means. But okay, enough about that. Let's talk about Son of Godzilla. I think Son of Godzilla is very, very underrated, and it gets a lot of hate for a lot of reasons I don't necessarily agree with. Now, Milla's ugly. Yes, he is fucking disturbing looking. He is hideous. He's a hideous, deformed monster. What else would you want from it, though? They made Baby Godzilla cute in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, and kind of in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. I just don't think he's very cute in that, whereas the Space Godzilla, Baby Godzilla is fucking adorable. I digress. I never really thought Milla should be cute. But to sit here and say Milla doesn't belong in the Godzilla universe is it's stupid. Um, I like the idea that Godzilla has ugly son, but a son in general. Now, let's talk about the plot about this movie. So basically, the scientists are trying to are doing weather experiments on this island. I forget what the island's called. Um, Solgale Island. Bam. Got it. No more Godzilla shit. Solgale Island. So they're doing weather experiments on Solgale Island to make the unhospitable areas of the world able to grow food and be hospitable because the world's population's growing, la di da di da, blah blah blah. So that's the plot, pretty much. Like the story of it is that's what it is. And then you have other things going on as well. Um, so a reporter gets dropped off, and this is more story. Like the premise is what I was saying. The story is the a reporter gets dropped off because he's feels it in his stomach that something's happening. That part is really retarded. But so he gets dropped off, and then they're doing the weather experiment. But Millis cries, mess with the experiment, and basically, how would you put this? The experiment fails. There's a radioactive storm, and then all of the man-sized bugs, like Kamacuras, that was the size of a fucking human before the radiation, become they're fucking enormous. They're like 40, 50 fucking meters tall. They're huge. Kumonga is huge. I don't know if Kumonga was always huge. That's one that I wasn't quite sure on. So, the cries of Milla bring Godzilla to Solgale Island. Godzilla smashes the base where they were doing the experiments because Godzilla's got to destroy shit for absolutely no apparent reason sometimes. So, that happens. Excuse me. Long night. Oh, yeah, so that's going on. And then they find a native on the island, some girl that was abandoned by her dad, or her dad died. I don't remember. But at the end, Godzilla fights Kamacuras, fights Kumonga, and the experiment kind of ends up working in the end, and everyone gets saved. Happy fucking day. This movie is completely, like I said, underrated. I thoroughly enjoy this movie. There are goofy parts in it. It's got some cheese, like Fromunda cheese. It's some fucking cheesy cheese. But I think it's a really, really decent movie. Um, Now, it's not my top 5 Godzilla movies, but it definitely would make my top 10. And I think people should, look past the ugly suit of Godzilla and look past Milla. I think there was a genuine good story to tell here, and I think they did a pretty good job. Just like Ebirah Horror of the Deep, I would compare it with Son of Godzilla, where it's like I don't know if that one gets as much shit as Son of Godzilla. I know Son of Godzilla is low on a lot of people's lists, but for me, nope. I think it's a great movie. It's a great Godzilla movie, and you should definitely give it another chance. I own several copies of it. I'm gonna own the Blu-ray. The Criterion's re-releasing on Blu-ray. I'll get that because it was never released on Blu-ray here in the States anyway. I'm sure overseas it was. But yeah, I have it on VHS. I watch it on VHS all the time. I catch it on Comet TV, watch Comet TV as much as I can when they're playing Godzilla movie marathons. They usually play this. Um, but yeah, give Son of Godzilla another look. Um, just don't take it as serious, and you might enjoy yourself a little bit. So let's do another movie. Ooh, just give me a second. I guess I could talk about a movie that I absolutely despise. That will immediately drop all subscribers. I have reviewed this movie before on the G Show as well. Shin Godzilla. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Shin Godzilla today because it's something I've been putting off. I did review it back in 2016. I forgot when it was released. It was either September or November of 2016. It had a week-long run. I caught it opening day, pre-purchased my tickets, and I didn't like it. Like if you follow the G Show podcast here on YouTube, I did a review with a few other people on there, and uh, three of us hated it. Everyone else loved it. The three of us that hated it had very specific reasons, and since then, I've watched it a few times. Now, this is kind of, I would say, more of like it's 2019. It's a re-review. Let's just do that. A re-review. I still don't like the film. There are fundamental problems with it, but now I start to see why people like it. I don't see why they think it's the greatest movie ever made because it's not even close. No. Um, I don't even think it's necessarily a good Godzilla film. I think it's a great Evangelion film. I watched the Evangelion series a few years back. Actually, as soon as Shin Godzilla, as soon as I watched the Evangelion series. Trying to get through it again. I know end of Evangelion, and I'm familiar with a lot of the movies, and I was discussing with one of my buddies about the movies and how the movies fix a lot of the problems that the anime had and kind of spins it in a different direction. It's a fundamentally different thing. I'm missing a point here. I don't like Shin Godzilla. But after watching it a few more times, I understand where some people are coming from with the movie. I get the commentary of it. I'm understanding now. But excuse me. Again, long night. But it's not a good Godzilla movie. Let's talk about the things that I like about the movie. The Godzilla action is fantastic. I think a lot of it is really, really well done. Now the CG could have really. I still don't understand where people are coming from saying that this is the best looking Godzilla's ever been. A lot of that CG looks like shit, especially with King of the Monsters released. And I've seen King of the Monsters 4 times in theaters, once in IMAX. I bought it day one, and I've watched it several times since on a 4K TV with 7.1 surround sound. I don't understand why people still think Shin Godzilla, the CG was the best. There are scenes where he looks like a pile of fucking rubber moving. It's bad. It's really bad. But it's I cringe at those, but everything else with Godzilla is great. Just some of the really bad CG, it still bothers me. So I like that, and that's pretty much all that I like about it. Is the Godzilla action's pretty good. As you could say, the story, I like the story. Um, what what story there is, it's just, oh, we got to deal with, we got to stop Godzilla. That's the plot, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. People say King of the Monsters plot's fucking stupid. Now I'm gonna defend King of the Monsters. That is now my second favorite Godzilla movie. It's a fantastic film. People say that plot is dumb. The plot of Shin Godzilla is fucking almost non-existent. It's Stop Godzilla. That's the plot. There's no main character, which I get. I get it. Tired of people fucking talking to me. Oh, that's the whole point. Stop. Just stop. I get it. It's not fucking excusable though. What's the main character? Almost, I would say like 90% of films have a fucking main character. Oh, for anyone that like wondering if I'm going bald, that's just my hair. They're like looking, I'm like, oh, I look like I'm going bald. Anyways, let's talk about everything that I hate about Shin Godzilla. Pretty much everything else. Now, a lot of the scores, I will say I like some of the scores. Who Will Know? I don't enjoy that song anymore. I use it as a parody in a lot of my videos. Um, but I use it as a joke because it's so overdone, and people, for some reason, again, think it's the greatest song ever made. It's really not. Um, but what's the other one? Oh, Persecution of the Masses, I still think is a phenomenal song used in the most not, I wouldn't say inappropriate times. I will say that song's misused. Persecution of the Masses definitely should have been used where Who Will Know was playing. I get it. This Who Will Know is the point. It's from Godzilla's perspective, but still don't give a shit. um, And then, a lot of people sit here and like, oh, you got to be a fan of Evangelion to like Godzilla, and I still think or Shin Godzilla, and I still think that is absolutely fucking horseshit. I think that's wrong, really, really wrong. And like I was talking to my buddy about this, and we're gonna go over this in the future because we're gonna do a new show. Excuse me. Or a podcast where we're gonna debate. It's gonna be a film debate type of thing. But I stand firmly with my stance with Shin Godzilla. I've warmed up to it a bit more, but I still don't like it. I would definitely I forgot to give a rating to Son of Godzilla. I give Son of Godzilla definitely a 3 out of 5, whereas Shin Godzilla is definitely a 2. It's not one worthy, it's not horrible, but I just don't like it, and I get why people do like it, but it almost seems like people like Shin Godzilla for pretentious reasons, and I don't, what's the point of liking it for pretentious reasons? So, I'm going to pick a different movie to talk about. Um, but yeah, Shin Godzilla, I definitely like the design of Godzilla. I'll say that. I own several figures, and I never I never try to discourage people. If you're listening to this and you think, oh, fuck you, you're telling me I shouldn't like it. Never take it as that. Like whatever you want. I will not sit here and tell you you're wrong for liking things that you do like. But try to understand that there are fundamental reasons why I don't like certain films and Shin Godzilla, and accept it, and don't belittle me, and I won't belittle you. Let's be fucking adults here. That's something that a lot of the Godzilla fan base can learn, is how to be a fucking adult. So, let's pick a different movie. What was the other movie I wanted to talk about today that I watched recently? After I'm done yawning. Alright. It's just gonna take me a second to pull it up. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Get ready, boys and girls, because I don't like this movie at fucking all. I get a lot of shit for it. A lot. I get, it's supposed to be social commentary again. And I'm not against social commentary. I like Starship Troopers plenty. I think it's a fantastic film, and I give it a 4 out of 5. Oh yeah, Shin Godzilla's, I think I said a 2 out of 5, but um, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is one way that you don't do a sequel. Um, it's not good by any means. It's pretty fucking awful. There's hardly a good thing I could say about the movie. It's hard to sit through. I will say, I think Tom Savini did the effects. The effects are really good. Sorry, my eyes are killing me right now. The effects are really good in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But everything else is just, I mean, the story is just bonkers. I mean, I get it, it's supposed to be a bonkers film, but as someone who really likes the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I was kind of, when I first watched this, I was expecting different. And upon rewatching it, it's really hard to sit through. And I'm not the only one that talks to my wife, my friends, a lot of my friends. I think one of them likes it. And I was talking about someone who came into the shop about it, and they liked it, but I explained to them reasons I don't, and they explained to me reasons they do, and I was like, so you like it for the same reasons I dislike it. So, I mean, it's definitely a polarizing film by that aspect. Me, as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, I don't like the second, I don't like the third. The Next Generation is really good when you're drunk. I could get shit faced and watch that movie all day long, but I'm pretty sure you could do that with most films. Um, this movie basically lacks a plot. I would say the only plot there is the cop wants to kill the Leatherface family, or whatever the Sawyer family. He wants to kill him. Well, that's dumb. That is a stupid plot because it barely follows him. It barely follows him doing any of that. It's ooh, uh-oh. Uh-oh, I broke it. I broke it. It's back. Um, but besides that, Leatherface learning more about his sexuality, he oh god, it's so hard to talk about this. Leatherface wants to bang a chick, which I get, but it's kind of like glossed over a bit. Um, the dad, brother, I forget the main guy's name. with the bow tie here. Um, he cooks chili with human meat, which is good. It's a good idea. But no one caught on to that. Okay, I'll buy it, I guess. Uh, what's there to talk about, honestly? Like, the acting's way over the top, which I love over the top acting, don't get me wrong. This movie, it's awful. Um, I would definitely give it a 2 out of 5. The effects are really well done. That's the only reason I ever truly put it on during Halloween time. I've watched it a few times in September. Might play it one more time, but in October. But there's other movies I could be doing this year, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is by no means a must watch. If you're curious, have at it. But for me, it's a big no. It's a pass for me. But if you like it, you're welcome. Again, this is all from my point of view. Um, if you like it, go ahead and like it. I don't. So it's where this movie is really hard to talk about, and I was questioning whether I should because it's really hard to discuss. All right, so we'll do one more movie, and then I might go live later on today to discuss some more things. So, let me think. I guess I could talk about. It's a movie stream. Can't talk about Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. Now, I'll save that for later. Um, trying to think of another movie I've watched recently. Watching a lot of movies recently. I guess I could end it on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. It's just not a good movie. It's really bad, actually. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is so bad. So fundamentally fucking bad. Like, it's starting to, like, rile me up. This movie fucking sucks. Besides the effects, what the fuck was the god. In general, what the fuck was the point? What's the fucking point? It's like an hour of 30, 40 fucking minutes of dumb shit. Just dumb shit. I can't stand it. I can't stand this fucking movie. It's so bad. It's worse. I'd rather. It's not as bad as that reboot Leatherface or that 2012, 2013 Texas Chainsaw. Those movies are fucking horrid. But this movie's just, it's such a fucking letdown to what I wanted in a fucking sequel. Why can we not get a goddamn sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's any fucking good? The Devil's Rejects did a sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre better than any sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And The Devil's fucking Rejects is a sequel to the movie I'm about to fucking talk about now because holy shit, I've got some fucking things to discuss about the next film. I hope your guys' fucking buttholes are ready for this because I'm about to fucking destroy this movie. House of a Thousand Corpses not only is a testament to how bad Rob Zombie is as a writer and a filmmaker, but how bad a movie can be when you have a passion for something and you don't know how to do anything with that passion. If that makes sense. It's hard to describe the feelings I have towards this movie as an intro. This fucking movie should have ended Rob Zombie's fucking career. This is one of the worst movies I have ever seen. And I have watched this movie since I was a kid. I watched The Devil's Rejects before this movie. Devil's Rejects is one of the best films I have ever fucking seen. I don't fucking, you can argue with me about it. The Devil's Rejects is fucking good. There are things I hate about it, then that's Rob Zombie's fucking fault. But I have now seen enough Rob Zombie films to come to the fucking conclusion that he is a goddamn hack and has only made one good movie. And his hackology started with House of a Thousand Corpses. The acting from everyone besides the victims is good. The murderous cannibals, Captain Spaulding, Otis, Sherry Moon Zombie, can't remember her fucking character's name. The mom, the grandpa, all of their acting is great. The victims suck ass. Their acting is shit, and I never once fucking bought it. And I've watched this movie a lot of fucking times. Okay. The effects in this movie are not that great. Dr. Satan looks good, but he's in it for like 5 fucking seconds. The story of this movie doesn't exist. There's no plot. There's no story. It tries to set something up and then abandons it in 5 minutes. So, you don't get invested in the story. Because there's no story. It's scenes strung together with the stupidest, god-awful, mind-numbingly fucking retarded ass transitions. Why do I need to see Sherry Moon Zombie dancing? It has nothing to do with the movie. Is it to show that she's scary? Why is Otis randomly speaking to a fucking kid? Like they're breaking the fourth fucking wall. I don't get it. I don't get this film. It's bad. This is one of those films that I watched when I was even fucking drunk. And I was tearing it to shreds. Some of the music's okay. The song that Rob Zombie did in the intro that went on for fucking 20 years it's a good song. House of a Thousand Corpses, the song is a good song. I know what this movie's trying to be. It's trying to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit. That 1970s, well, all of his fucking movies are like that. That grindhouse 1970s fucking gritty horror movie. But they don't work. The Devil's Rejects is the only one that has worked for me. I just got done watching 31. That was literally on par with this. As fucking terrible. Rob Zombie is not a good film director. He is a shitty writer. For most of his movies. It's hard to say that because The Devil's Rejects was lightning in a fucking bottle. You can be the worst fucking director in Hollywood and at some point make a good movie. It's true. At some point you can make a decent movie. Michael Bay is a terrible, terrible director. And I fucking love Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys 2, to me, is definitely a 5 out of 5. Some of the best fucking buddy cop action I've ever seen. I could talk about that movie at another point, though. Because now my point being, is you could be the shittiest director on earth and still make one good film. Doesn't mean you're a good fucking writer or director. It really fucking doesn't. House of a Thousand Corpses is the equivalent to watching mud and blood and guts being thrown at the screen for almost 2 fucking hours. If not 2 fucking hours. It's bad. It's fucking bad. And I guess I could go over the plot. Four jackasses stop at a gas station, ask fucking Clown a bunch of questions about Dr. Satan. Clown points them to the direction of the house. And then I don't know. Words cannot describe what happens next. There's a play, they get murdered. The ones you think are dead aren't actually dead, and then they die later. And then at some point, that Dr. Satan's in an underground mine. I interpreted it as hell, but it doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be a satanic cult of murderous cannibals, but I don't even know if they're cannibals because it never shows them eating humans. So I don't even fucking know. It's like shock value for the sake of shock value. It's so fucking bad, and this. I wish. I really wish that Rob Zombie stopped making movies after The Devil's Rejects. I don't like Halloween, his reboot. I used to when I was a kid, but as I got older, you know, Halloween 2, his remake of Halloween 2, that is the stupidest fucking movie. I would say it's better than House of Thousand Corpses because it has production value. It had a fucking budget, unlike this piece of shit. Looks like it was fucking made with fucking Halloween decorations you buy at fucking Walmart. Halloween 2 is shit. Lords of Salem I can't sit through. 31 was absolute trash, and I don't want to watch 3 from Hell. I hear so many mixed things. I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot fucking pole. House of a Thousand Corpses is one of those films that even when I'm drunk, monitor went blank. There we go. House of a Thousand Corpses is one of those movies that even when I'm drunk, I can't enjoy. A lot of bad movies I can enjoy when I'm. The Room, for instance, is one of those movies where I like once a year to pop a beer with the wife, watch it because it's a good fucking time, and a lot of people started doing that. There are fucking asylum movies that I would fucking drink beer to and enjoy. House of a Thousand Corpses, I tried. I tried recently. It's bad. And like I said, I've been watching it since I was a kid, but just recently bought it again because I got rid of it or it got stolen. I can't fucking remember because I try not to remember anything about this fucking piece of shit. This movie's fundamentally flawed on every level. And even as a first-time director with a no budget, I hate this movie. The Evil Dead. Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead, the original, is hard to watch. The effects are shit. But that is a great fucking movie because there's a point. This movie has no point. That's why I'm going to leave this stream. I'm considering doing one later. Talk about a few movies. I'll get a list going. Ratings for this, though, I would definitely give it a 1 out of 5 upon rewatching. Yeah, I can't even say it's so bad that it's good. It's terrible. But thank you guys for watching. And I hope you have a spooky ass Halloween. And I'll see you soon.